Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Refin from Local B, and today I would like to tell you a story and a folk's tale that was a long time ago, JAKA TARUB. Okay, hear me out. I'm sorry I had to sit because my room is so small for me to stand up and record. So I'm just gonna sit here, but I will tell you the story completely, okay? Here we go. Once upon a time, there was a widow lived in a single small village called Darapan. She didn't have a husband, but she had a son, the only son she had, whose name was JAKA TARUB. And she raised JAKA TARUB, her son, that boy, all by herself. So she worked very hard because JAKA is the only family she had left. Sadly, she dies not long after that, leaving JAKA TARUB all alone. Many years later, JAKA TARUB grows into a splendid young man just like me. Darapan village was very close to the woods, and so because of that, he liked hunting for animals with his blowpipe. One day, he was hunting for a deer in Darapan village, but he did not find any. While searching for a deer, he heard the sound of girls laughing as the place deep inside the forest. JAKA wondered why there were girls there. This is a wood. Why would even they go there and laughing? It turns out he followed the sound and arrived at a small pond, and it turns out he saw 7 apsaras descended from heaven to take a bath. The apsaras looked like a very young beautiful girl. They were so beautiful, JAKA can't help but to peek. While the apsaras are bathing, JAKA sneaked out and took one shawl lying on the rock nearest to him and went back into the hiding. He watched as the apsaras were chatting among themselves while bathing. After they finished bathing and getting dressed, one of the apsaras, the youngest and the most beautiful of all, looked puzzled because her shawl is gone, which was stolen by JAKA. Without her shawl, she could not fly and back to the heaven. JAKA heard the other apsaras called her Nawang Wulan. Well, they told her it was getting late and they had no choice but to return to heaven, so they could not stay with her and finding her shawl. After the other apsaras had gone, Nawang Wulan was very sad. She was crying in the corner while staying in the water, and she so desperate to find her shawl. And then JAKA TARUB saw this as a chance. He approached her. "Why are you crying, my lady?"
"I lost my dress, so I cannot go home.
"Where's your home?"
I live in heaven. I'm an angel. My name is Nawang Wulan, but I lose my shawl, so I cannot fly anymore."
"If you don't mind, I will take my mother's shawls for you."
"Really? Okay, please do."
"Wait for me here. I'll be returned." Then JAKA TARUB went home to take her mother's shawl and gave it to Nawang Wulan. He also asked her to stay at his home with him. And the trustful Nawang agreed to go with JAKA to his home. Eventually, the two fell in love with each other and they are getting married. Well, it turns out that Nawang Wulan is a very good wife and was very skillful in doing house chores without making much effort. So she do his housework like magician does because she is not human in the first place. She is an apsaras from heaven. Moreover, the rice supply seems to like never decrease after he married her. But Nawang Wulan forbade Jaka to look inside the rice cooker while she cooked rice. Why? Not long after that, Nawang Wulan got pregnant. And due to the time she gave birth, a baby, beautiful girl, whom they named Nawang Si, was born. Now, added with the task of taking care of baby, adding one more family member in their house, Nawang Wulan still seems to have a very skillful and a very special powers, and she had no difficulties of doing her house chores, while most other women would have some difficulties in doing all she did, but not with Nawang Wulan, because she had these special powers. But Jaka is feel very curious. Jaka feeling very curious about all this. He tried to find out her secret. He did what Nawang Wulan forbid him to do. He opened the lid of the rice cooker and looked inside of it. And he found that actually Nawang Wulan only used one single grain of rice to cook it into a full rice. So imagine a one grain rice grows up to be a full bowl, at least for like 50 people. Yeah, she had a power like that. Now he knew why the rice supply was never decreased, and at all these times, Nawang Wulan had been using her Apsara powers to do house chores. Yeah, it's kind of cheating, but yeah, why not? But something happened after Jaka peeked inside the rice cooker. Nawang Wulan began to have various difficulties in doing her task. Wow. So, we only just did what she forbid for him. Nawang Wulan lost his power. Furthermore, the rice supply began to decrease. Nawang Wulan had lost her Apsara powers and became an ordinary human being. When the rice supply was nearly used up, Nawang Wulan unintentionally saw her old shawl lurking from below the rice supply while she went to granary to get some rice. To her surprise, she was so surprised, she found out that it was Jaka all along who stole her shawl, which made her could not go back into heaven. She immediately wore it and talked to Jaka TARUB.
My dear husband, now I know what you did to me.
Forgive me, my dear. I admit that I did, but I did it because I love you.
I love you too. But now that I find my shawl, I must come back to heaven. I'm an angel. I'm not a human from to begin with. My place is not here. I don't have a choice. I have to go now. I can't believe you do this to me.
She was shocked, sad, disappointed, or maybe a little bit angry, because it turns out the person she loved the most was actually the reason her shawl is gone and she could not back into heaven. Now that she found her shawl, she decided to return to heaven immediately. Jaka could not accept this, of course. Jaka pleaded so much for her to not leave, but unfortunately, her decision was final. But how about Nawang Si? She needs you.
Don't worry. I will take care of her. Anytime she needs me, I will be here. For that purpose, please build a tower. Wherever Nawang Si cries, put her there and call my name. I will come immediately. But I'm sorry, I will be invisible to you. Farewell, my dear.
Then Jaka TARUB built a big tower behind his house. Since then, Jaka took Nawangsi, their baby, to that tower every night if she cries until she grew up. So every time Nawangsi cried, he would put her there. Nawang Wulan would come and take care of Nawangsi. Nawang Wulan will always care about her family from heaven and always provided help when they needed it, every time. So, what can we learn from the story? It is a beautiful love story, equal a beautiful family story. But behind all of it, there's a tragic ending. Why? Why is that happening in the first place? But it's because JAKA TARUB himself, he decided to steal the shawl of one of the apsaras. And it's not a good thing to do. That is a proof that whenever you want something, don't ever use the dirty tricks or a very no good way, because eventually you'll get what you did. You reap what you sow, just like a rice. Thank you for listening to my story. I'm terribly sorry if it was not perfect, or there's some grammar errors, my mistakes, or just I have I don't really attract you well. I'm terribly sorry for that, but if you're listening and you like it, thank you very much, and thank you for watching this video. My name is Muhammad Refin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.